Hello there, guys. Welcome to another episode of WrestleTea with me, Sam Leterna. Today, I'm super excited for my guest because we've been on quite a few shows together recently, and it's a pleasure to work with you, and your matches always make me smile, the stuff that you do in the ring. Eel O'Neal, everyone. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm obviously in the middle of a precarious situation, but it is wonderful. Absolutely.
Eel, I want to talk. There's a lot of questions I have for you that I haven't been able to ask you in person because we're kind of always just, prepping. You're prepping for matches, I'm prepping for interviews, and we'll have small talk here and there. But there's so much about your character and even just the name Eel O'Neal, the whole gimmick in general, that I have questions about. So let's get into that. Eel O'Neal, how did that come about? What's the inspiration behind that? It sounds kind of like an old school, like golden age actor or something like that.
That's very funny. So the name is pretty much derived from the character the Plastic Man, from DC Comics. His real name is Eel Patrick, but everybody calls him Eel. And then he's a criminal. And when he gets dipped in a vat of, chemicals, as superheroes are wont to do, he gains the ability to transform and elongate himself. At the time when I was first starting wrestling, it was much more flexible and much more bouncy than I am now. I've kind of grounded myself, but and people told me that I snapped, that when I took bumps and I came back up, I snapped like a rubber band. So rubber band, Plastic Man, Eel O'Brien, and then Eel O'Neal. It's a name. It rhymes. It always felt punchy to me. And eels can be they're wonderful creatures. They're very cute, and they're very that. Some people have a fondness for them, but also they are dangerous knife fish. So I thought it was a nice little bit of duplicity. I thought the name. You don't pick the name. The name kind of picks you when it's right.
And did you not necessarily feel that way with your old character?
Yeah. So older names and things that I've used before, they just didn't feel right. They felt like kind of put on. And then Eel feels real to me. That feels like a real, when people call me Eel and they say my name, it feels like my name.
Did the mask always, was that always something that you incorporated into Eel O'Neal, or is that something more recent? And what's up with that? Because it's so artful, and I kind of see the allusions to perhaps your culture as well.
Yeah.
So how did you merge that with Eel O'Neal, and how has that become the current manifestation of that character?
Yeah. So when I first started, and people can look back not even very far, I am as a person a very happy-go-lucky character. And I found over and over again that being the kind of guy that smiles and is really cheery doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't get me anywhere far, especially in the rooms where I was in, where I would just be assumed to be the bad guy everywhere where I went. And we can put that on what it is. But I realized that if I wanted to be taken seriously, or at least be recognized for the talent that I have as far as promo goes, or inside of the ring as far as technicality goes, I had to be something that was bigger and scarier. So I went back instead of forward, and I started looking at things like hoodoo. My family is from the Dominican Republic and Haitian.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So from right kind of on the borderlines of the Dominican Republic and Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have family from Ghana, and then I have family that have been in the United States for 200 years and went through slavery and that progression of blackness. And I just thought, how do you express blackness to people? And how do you explain what blackness is to people, primarily white audiences? And that's what it is, and it's fine. It's great. Yeah. I love we're branching out for more people, but also we have a very solid base. And I said one time, oh, well, if you just took a white person and you turned them into a black person one day, it would feel like a horror story. It would feel like a horror movie. It would be like the part of the horror movie where something bad is going to happen, but you don't know what it is. And I was like, if you can somehow become evocative of that entire sentiment, you are more powerful than you could possibly be as just the electric Eel O'Neal. So I went, okay, so like, let's really pivot and like, let's do all of the things that you love to do. Like, I love old films, like black and white films, and I love like the transatlantic dialect. I find it absolutely thrilling. Like, it's very fun to do, and it's something that I can drop into easy. And then also, I love the idea of like the two selves narrative and mask work that comes from my theatrical background. So I just took all of those things, and then I gave a very great artist, Rockwell Masks, I gave him inspiration for, I was like, I want this to be evocative of what Pan-Africanism is, and these Ghanaian masks are kind of what I'm looking for. And he took my face and he took those Ghanaian masks and he merged them, and I was like, it's perfect. So I had the best of both worlds. It was a little bit of kismet, because I've been doing theater and film and acting since I was 4 years old, since before I can remember. There are commercials that you can find if you look them up with my actual name. You can probably find my reel. But the real, and then when I became sort of an adolescent, I realized that I was very, very dedicated to that theatricality. That's the proper word. I was dedicated to that theatricality, and I wanted to involve myself in sport, primarily because a lot of those old song and dance men were really great athletes too. So I was like, I want to become an athlete. And I had a really hard time in middle school to high school to college. I was as a 3-sport athlete. When I got in high school, I was 2 sports: football and Greco-Roman wrestling. And I was going to go to a school for football, and I tore labrum. I tore something in my shoulder very badly, and they were like, "Hey, we don't have time for you. We don't want you." So then my parents were alumni at the University of Maryland, and so I went there, but I didn't like that, and I didn't like college. And because I didn't like college and I wasn't playing sport, I decided to delve into the thing that I had always known. That was theatricality. So I went to Second City in Chicago, and then I learned from very great comedians. And then I came back here, and I felt like I didn't have anything to do, because I was in Chicago and I had all that art around me. And I came back to Baltimore, and there was far less art around me. And I wanted to do something that felt like a combination of athleticism and performance. And then I remember that, me and my father had watched professional wrestling all of my life growing up. I had been watching wrestling the entire time, and I felt like, oh, that's it. And it clicked. And now every time I get into the wrestling ring, I get to use almost what feels like almost every single part of me as I perform. And it's an incredible opportunity. And I know it's temporary, because all beautiful things fleet. But that seems to be what I was not born to do, but definitely what I feel like I was meant to at least strive for. Sorry, that's a rant.
No, I mean, that's a beautiful thing to say as well, because you knowing and having that cognizance of this wrestling world and the time here being fleeting just because of the physical wear and tear on the body, right? And perhaps other factors that come into play with being a more seasoned veteran, say 10, 20 years down the line. But in terms of this character, you kind of gave a little bit of like a teaser online that concerned me. I want to know answers to this, because social media is so prevalent now. You had a post like February 6th, February 10th, around that time, Valentine's Day, where you posted in your gear, didn't have the mask on, just Eel O'Neal, no mask, and the caption read, "He's dead," and it had, African American Horror Story, like blocking the eyes, parts of the body. So are we seeing like, are you like conjuring up a new version, like another layer of Eel O'Neal as we speak?
Yeah.
Can it get deeper, man?
Yes, a couple of people have already seen it, but like all of the stuff that is emblematic of lightning or being the electric Eel O'Neal, is
Okay.
I will not use it anymore. I've officially kind of put my stamp on that part of my life and my wrestling career is dead. And I'm sure that people will be like, well, we didn't have enough time to get to know and love, the electric Eel O'Neal. But like, truthfully, it wasn't me. It wasn't right. I've been told, I've been told that enough people find me an attractive, plucky, handsome go-getter as far as being in the ring, and I should wrestle like a blue chipper, and I should dive, and I should jump, and I should like drop kick and fly, because I can do all of those things. And then when I really asked myself, how do I want to wrestle? As much as I love GIFs and I love highlight reels, and I think that those are very incredible tools for people to get further in this industry, I don't think that has ever been where my path was set. So it's just, it's not probably going to be that. Like, that's
So,
not going to.
so moving forward, are you saying that you're wrestling more for you than anybody else? Like putting out a product that you're proud of both in the ring and performance-wise, with like your acting of your character and whatnot?
I am. I have some very specific things that I want to do, and some very specific people that I want to wrestle, and some very specific things that I want to say in wrestling, that I think that if I'm this everyone smiles at and shakes hands and is only dedicated to selling T-shirts and making everybody, making the home crowd feel good, I don't think I can say. I think I can say a lot of things about duplicity, and about race in wrestling and gender in wrestling. I apologize. Race in wrestling, gender in wrestling, and things like that. That a lot of people, haven't had the opportunity to say. I think I'm in a unique position to do those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know, but I also might be overthinking it. Like, it might come down to it in 2 years from now. I might be like, hey, you know what? Actually, I just wanna wrestle. Shug D said something to me at a taping, and he said, Eel, it's not that people don't like what you're doing. He's like, it's that people haven't seen it, so you have to show them. And that was something that really kind of illuminated something for me, because I was like, oh, it's as much as, like, today I posted a very silly TikTok of me in those booty scrunch leggings, because I bought them as a bit. I was like, I'm gonna do a review of them, and like I like having fun. I like joking. It's not that the character myself doesn't have humor about myself, and that so far has 2,500 views on Twitter, and it's being shared around. AEW and WWE superstars have liked it and either commented on it or retweeted it today in our space. I create very original, very well spoken, very artistic, very artistically driven, and very thematically driven promos for every opponent that I wrestle, because I have respect for the people that I wrestle, and I know that we have stories to tell when we wrestle them, and they get 100, 200 views, and people will DM me, name drops. Carrie Awful the other day DM'd me and was like, I think that everything that you're doing is absolutely wonderful. Danhausen the other day, name drop. He DM'd me and he said, Eel, I love what you do, and I love your utilization of like, these are some of the things that I think you could fix. But this is the right direction. I don't think that the stories that need telling are the stories that are the most popular. And that's okay, because when you do tell a story that needs telling, it will find ears. It just has to be told first. Like, it has to be spread.
And do you plan on doing this with Flying V? Could we see a rebirth there? What's the deal?
So Flying V did a very good thing. They knew that Joey Ibanez and I had a lot of tension. We had a rivalry. Oh, we still do. But we had a rivalry that was driven by a lot of outside forces. And they put us in a room and they let us fight it out. And they told us that we were in charge of keeping the company alive, and using that motivation of keeping the company alive has turned Joey and I into two of the most, I think, steadfast allies. Now, I'm a bit more cantankerous and vindictive than he is, and I would say that he's a little bit more genteel and forgiving than I am. That all being said, we're a really good team, and we know what we want to see in wrestling, and we know what stories we want to tell in wrestling, and they don't look like the typical stories that people are trying to tell. They do not look like this is no insult, they do not look like a GCW collective. They don't look like a beyond, special interest match. They look like finding a group of fighters who are not just representative of cultures, but representative of ideas and representative of sects of human iconography, and putting them in a room and saying, hey, let's make some art. Let's make some fights. Let's make some actual martial art, and we're going to do it.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing what you guys dream up for the future there. I know we had a little Twitter chat about that, so keep me in mind if you get an interviewer. Cheap plug, since we are cheaply plugging.
Definitely, Adam Leterna. Certainly will. You are of the highest class, the highest order of your journalistic profession. I very much applaud.
Well, thank you. I legitimately feel the same way about you, your tag partner, Jordan. But let's talk you and Jordan. You're kind of known as a tag wrestler right now, right? But do you also want to come into your own as a singles wrestler as well? What are your thoughts on that?
More than people know, I keep joking about, it's like become a Twitter joke now where I keep joking about, oh, hey, like Eel wants singles matches. And it's not for lack of wanting to be around Jordan. And Jordan knows that. Jordan is my sister. She calls me your brother. We're family. And one of the things that makes you better for your family is when you can stand on your own 2 feet, right? You have to develop some sort of individualism when it comes to your identity. And for me, Jordan has this lovely opportunity because professional wrestling strives for legitimacy, and it loves individuals who reek of legitimacy, and Jordan Blade reeks of legitimacy. She bleeds it. She bleeds being legitimate. She's a legitimate badass. She's a legitimate powerhouse, and she's a legitimate hard-faced tough guy. Me, on the other hand, I am an artist, and that doesn't mean that I'm not tough. I've done martial arts. I've done sports. I am gritty, but I always have something to say. I always have, when I get into a fight or when I get into a discussion with people, I lead mouth first. Whereas Jordan just is actions. Actions, sometimes they really do speak louder than words. I get why people are obsessed with Jordan, but I've been so many places. I've gotten opportunities to fall down on my face and to stand up, to get embarrassed at New Japan camps, to train with John Gresham, to train with some of the best pure wrestlers, or luchadors in the world. I get to sit in a room and wrestle over and over again with one of the great 10-year vets who's just completely undiscovered. Joey Ibanez is incredible. I get to sit in rooms with people who are extraordinary, and I just want to show everyone that I have a light too. I have a candle too, right? So it's not for lack of not loving being with Jordan, standing next to Jordan, but it's knowing that I don't want to use Jordan as a crutch, and I don't want to be the guy that she drags around, because that breeds that will breed animosity. We're undefeated in 2021, and every single one of those opportunities, while we helped set them up together, Jordan has been the person who got either the pin or the submission. Which cool, but also I have moves. Much more than just taking heat. I have storytelling ability, much more than being the, you know, the weak guy who can make it to the tag and withstand getting beaten up. And I'm planning on showing it off.
Cool. Well, a lot of this just comes down to you wanting to wrestle on your terms. This is separate of your love for your, you know, tag team partner. And this has more to do with, I think, your love for yourself and what you see yourself doing in wrestling, which is really commendable. So, Eel, I wish you the best. I know you're going to kill it. I will be watching intently. Thank you so much for coming on WrestleTea. I really appreciated talking to you. It's a breath of fresh air.
I'm almost disappointed. It was lovely speaking with you.